Let's get it. This is Life's Essential Ingredients with Jeff and a Mike, where we hope to inform, inspire, and transform lives, one essential ingredient at a time. Welcome to the show. Pasho, here we go again. And listeners, we thank you for tuning into another episode. We're season 2, episode 20. Can't believe it. We have the amazing Jason Holzer coming from Kansas City, Missouri. Good morning and good afternoon, boys.
Good morning, guys. How we doing today? Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, we're so fired up. I know my Pasho's ready. Pasho, get us started today.
You know, we're on the verge of another wonderful March Madness. The excitement is just getting going. Our mighty Dons finally have made the tournament. I can't wait to get it started.
Oh, yeah. Hey, listeners, before we get into the show, I'm going to apologize right out of the gate. I'm going to take my Pasho and I back to Cal. We both played at USF, and Jason's a hooper and a coach. But Cal, when you were warming up there, their band would just run through. You couldn't do anything, and they were so obnoxious. So this just takes us there, but it's actually from Vacaville High School. Quick shout out to their drum line. And here we go. Let's go. It's March, baby. I apologize if you're not a hooper, but if you're a hooper, I know you're hype right now. You want to go get a ball and get out on the court and go dunk on somebody. Before we even get started, Jason, who you liking in the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I think San Francisco is going to go all the way this year.
If you're just listening, his eyes popped up like, hey, you guys are both smoking crack. You're lucky that you got in the tournament. But let's get serious. Who you liking?
Hey, I do have them win the first round, though. That 10-7 seed. I think they could sneak past to the first round. But I'm not going to lie. It's Coach K's last run. And I think, you don't want to be the team that gets Duke out early. So I think Duke's got a great shot this year because of the emotional factor of like, hey, I'm not going to be the team that ends Coach K's run and get out early. So I think there's going to be a chip on Duke's shoulder to win it for Coach K this year. So I got Duke over Arizona this year.
Okay. Pashalito?
Yeah, I saw Arizona play the other night. They are good. I got no problem with that. But got to stay West Coast, man. Gonzaga, too. Stay on the West. I like it.
All right. Yeah, I haven't been following college basketball that much. Just we don't have cable and don't get the opportunity to watch it all that much. But Pasha was getting me hyped on Arizona. So for right now, I'm going to jump on Arizona, and definitely the Dons taking it to Murray State, I think, in the first round. And then I think they'll have Kentucky, and we'll see what happens with that. But it's going to be good. So let's get into the show. And again, Pasha, I can't believe we're in 30 countries now. People that have tuned in to Life's Essential Ingredients, and thank you so much for that. Somehow on Listen Notes, we're in the global top 10 podcasts, so thank you, listeners, for that. And the reason we are, because we have incredible guests. And thank you, Jason, for coming on the show. So first of all, where you can find him, on Instagram at jholzer, and it's Holzer, on Twitter at Coach_Holzer. He has his website for his business, 4dathletes.com. And then he also hosts a great podcast, the 4D Athletes. So about our guest, Jason grew up in a small town in Missouri and was raised in a loving family that gave him every chance to succeed. His parents were supportive and provided everything a 17-year-old boy desired. That is, until Jason's life changed forever on May 8th, 2003. Jason's dad unexpectedly committed suicide, leaving Jason, his mother, and 2 younger sisters behind. Through hard work, dedication, and practicing a strong faith, Jason is now a certified teacher, accomplished basketball coach, and up-and-coming author and motivational speaker. His dedication to positively impacting the lives of those around him inspired the hashtag #ActToImpact, which serves as a reminder that we all can make a difference. Jason is a Missouri State alum, we're not going to hold that against you, who is dedicated to being a loving husband and father. He strives to help others overcome the lasting effects of suicide and is on the board of United Suicide Survivors International. Along with others around the world, Jason is raising awareness that suicide doesn't stop life from getting worse. It eliminates it from ever getting better. Jason, thanks for the important work you do, and welcome to the show.
Well, Jeff, Mike, I'm honored and humbled to be here, man. So, I always appreciate people that are, it's a big deal if anybody asks you to be on a podcast. It's truly, I'm grateful for being here, guys. So thank you again for having me on.
No, Mike and I are honored to do this work, and it's our community service. It's Life's Essential Ingredients falls under C4 Leaders, which is a grassroots nonprofit in Northern California, where we use pizza to kind of teach about life and leadership. This show is just part of that. We thank you for everything you're doing. And I guess I'm just going to jump into it because it's just on my heart. Unfortunately, life is crazy how it works out. Mike and I have a best friend, and unfortunately, on the 25th of February, our friend's son committed suicide. And he was 23 years old. And oh man, I'm getting goosebumps and kind of sick to my stomach just sharing that out loud. This show is just so important. The work that you're doing is so important. And it's just that pain is just something that just stays with you. And I would really love to explore how you've learned to carry that, and obviously take that and share it with the world to try and make an impact. We'll get into your book and all the work that you do. But before we do that, we always start with a thought of the day. One of the favorite parts of the show for me. And this one's it's a good one. And I always say no pressure on the guest, but the pressure's on me. But we're 100%. So we're shooting free throws. We have not missed 100%. We're season 2, episode 20. So that's pretty darn good with these quotes. After researching you, this is the quote out of millions of quotes that I could have picked. This is the one, and I want to know, why did I pick this for you? Okay, so I'm hoping it resonates with you. And it's by the amazing George Bernard Shaw. And he stated, and I quote, "Progress is impossible without change. And those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything." And why would I pick that one for you and for this episode?
Oh man, because I think like my whole life I've had to adapt. I've had to change. I've had to see things differently. And when I lost my dad to suicide, I had to change. Like my whole life had changed, right? And so I had to decide on 2 routes. Am I going to play the victim? Am I going to get bitter, or am I going to get better? And am I going to work through some of this pain, some of this toughness, or am I going to suppress it? And for a while, I'm not going to lie, as a 17-year-old, I did suppress it. I didn't want to go through it. I didn't want to have help. I thought counseling was a weakness. I thought that, all those things that I could handle on my own, like, I'm 18 years old. I got my ego. I could just power through it, right? The old adage of like what men are supposed to do. And then as I got older, I realized like it's not working. Everything on the external, I was smiling at the external. I'd be friendly to people. I never like went down a road of, addiction or anything like that, but I went down the road of lack of self-image, of overthinking, of not believing in myself, don't think I deserve certain things. And so I really put myself in a box, and so in order to get out of that box, that mold that other people said I was going to be in, because I came from where I came from, my dad died by suicide, everything that society tells you to, I realized like if I want a better life for myself, I have to change my mentality. I have to change my thoughts. And so, I've been on this journey, after losing my dad almost 20 years now. And it took me about 8 or so years after my dad passed away to realize I'm gonna have to do some major shifting if I want to really become the best version of myself. So yeah, that definitely resonates to me, Jeff. And even how I talk about suicide, the old adage was like, hey, my dad committed. Now, like it's more of like, hey, they died by suicide. And so as I heard you reading, I was like, oh man, I have something to change in my bio because, you know, committed is a word of a crime. And when somebody dies by suicide, like their thoughts are haunting them so much that the only way they feel it to get out of it is to end their thoughts. So that's what suicide is. It's ending the thoughts that are in your head. Nobody truly in their right mind wants to end their life. They want to end the thoughts that are plaguing them, it's like an illness, it's like cancer of the mind. And if you can't get out of that, and if you don't know how to, unfortunately, people resort to taking their own life. But I know some survivors of that have tried to take their own life, and they survived it. They realized like, man, I would have never have done that if I was in the right state of mind.
Yeah.
So, just to clarify on like, hey, we say died by suicide, not committed by suicide, because nobody truly is one to take their own life if they're in the right place.
Yeah. No, I agree. I appreciate you sharing insight on that. And you're just so right with ending their thoughts, and just go back to, unfortunately, my friend's son. It was the most difficult funeral I've ever been, involved with. I haven't been around anybody that's ended their thoughts that way. And I've been a registered nurse for 29 years, and I've taken care of a lot of people that tried to end their thoughts, but were unsuccessful at doing it. But it was just, my friend did an amazing job of just being honest with what was going on in his son's life. And then to fast forward, there was a reception after, and it was so cool. All of his friends got up and shared their stories, of him. And this is where I think the work that you do is so important, the work that our nonprofit is doing. And this is a little bit of an ignorant thing, but I wish we could just get to that space while everybody's still alive and just celebrate. And we talked about change and mindset. And if we can just get the people that we love and try and get them in that space to be able to hear a different thought potentially. And again, my best friend did every last thing that he could do. But yeah, his son was just so deep in that space that he couldn't hear any other options. And I don't know, I'm just kind of rambling, but it's just, I've been just really sick to my stomach this whole time over this, because you just feel like, man, there was more that I could have done to try and help. And I guess I'll just leave it at that, because I'm still a little bit stumped. But let's get on to the show, and let's change it up. So obviously, you after 8 years or so, you got into this space where you can have some different thoughts, increase your self-worth, and then want to share your growth with the world. When did the book kind of that thought come in? I know that it's a fairly new book, but we're talking probably 12 years ago. Of after 8 years, you said you got into a different space. When did you think, hey, I want to take this story and eventually share it and write about it and help people?
Yeah, it's probably the as far as timing wise is when most people want to write a book. Probably not the best time, right? I just had my second kid, right? And it was and I have two sons. And I was like, man, like my dad's never going to meet his grandsons. My dad's never going to meet his wife. And so like, that's the thing, is it never fully goes away. You just learn how to cope with it. You learn how to work with it. You learn, like, when are these triggering moments are going to come up that are going to, possibly make you a little more emotional or bring up some of the past that had happened, you know? And so for me, it was like, if I could share my story, what if it changes somebody's mind about possibly taking their life because of what this story of, like, as a survivor? Because I write it from like, this is what I went through. This is what I felt, from a first person narrative. So almost to where like, hey, you feel like you're me and you're a survivor, and like, I'm just trying to get through this. Right. And so, for other people to feel relatable, like they're not alone. Like I felt like I was alone. Like I felt like I was the only one that was going through this, because this was 2003. Talking about suicide was very taboo, or any kind of mental health, wellness, that kind of stuff. It wasn't talked about. It was like pushed under the rug. Oh, you toughen it up, you push through, you name it. So what I did was, I was like, God, I felt like God was telling me to write. You know, how like sometimes I'm a man of faith, and I feel like sometimes that God tells you things that, you know, go ahead and write, you know, and that's what I did.
Hey, was there, to get through it, obviously you were holding it all in, you said, for a long time. Was there a person or an event that kind of got you to go ahead and start talking about it, sharing it to help you deal with it?
Yeah, you know, it was I met my wife, you know, and we were in college and stuff, you know, and at some point, you know, it was starting off great, and I realized like, man, I gotta tell her about my. Eventually, she's gonna wonder like, hey, where's your, you know, you meet your family, that kind of thing, you know. Because she was a girl, I was like, man, I want to introduce you to my family, and she's gonna ask, what happened to your dad, or where is your dad, you know, and so that got me on a journey of like opening up. You know, that was really like one of the first times that I really shared in depth. I mean, I had good friends that knew, obviously. I had people that I grew up with that knew, but going to college, I went to Missouri State, 2.5 hours away. It was kind of like me starting over again, and nobody had to know. Right. So this was the first time I had to really get out of my comfort zone and say, oh man, like, looks like I need to really open up about this, you know? So that was whenever it really my first time. And my wife was very gracious. She's like, I'm sorry that happened. And, you know, it was about almost 3 years ago. I told her, I was like, hey, I think I'm supposed to write a book. She's like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I guess I'll just start typing and see what happens. And then, you know, luckily Amazon helps you, you know, make a book, and doesn't take a whole lot of extra effort, just, you know, the time that it takes to put it together. And, you know, 6 months later, I wrote a book, you know, and it's out there, and it's like, holy cow, I just did that, you know, and we just had a brand new baby too. And, you know, cause she helped me format it. She helped me did a lot of like the things to get it so it would publish and stuff. And so, that was kind of looking back at it, I was like, wow, you know, that was kind of a crazy journey part of my story, you know, of putting it together, writing it, and then also having a 2-year-old at home and a newborn. So just goes to show you, if you really put your mind to something and you believe it's going to help other people, you find a way.
Yeah. 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 And it's crazy. You know, I'm going to go back. This is how the thought of the day always works. Progress is impossible without change. And those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. And you're just saying just the opposite. You know, I realized I had to change. And when I am changing my mindset, then I just grow, and I can be surrounded by all these other emotions, good and bad, you know, with the death of your dad, and then the birth of your sons. And then you put that all together. That's incredible. And again, listeners, we haven't even shared the title of the book, but Shattered by Suicide, Renewed by Resilience. And it came out the fall of 2019. And you, just like Jason mentioned, you can find it on Amazon. So check that out, and let's try and support that message and Jason with getting that word out. But let's get into a little bit. You know, this show is called Life's Essential Ingredients. And if you had to list a few of your life's essential ingredients, what would those be, you know, where you are on this day in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I actually call these 21st century skills. Now, I think these skills have been around forever, but I think these skills are the essential ones that we're going to have moving forward. And the first one is love/empathy, like being able to walk in somebody else's shoes understand where they're coming from. It doesn't mean you feel sorry for them. It doesn't mean that you pity them, but what it does mean is you try to understand them, right? And then I think it's exploration, curiosity, trying to like ask, be a great question asker. Be innovative, creative. Think outside the box. Take decisive action, and forgiveness. You got to be able to forgive and let go of the things that people have said or hurt you, because if you whatever you don't forgive, you actually harbor in yourself. So, and what I mean by like letting go doesn't mean you let people off the hook and you allow them to do whatever you want. But what it does mean is you become unbreakable, meaning like people can, you know, say whatever they want about you, but it doesn't affect who you are. And what it does, it allows you to move forward in confidence, knowing like, hey, that's their opinion, right? That's not who I am. It's somebody that's whatever they believe. You can be likable, but that doesn't mean everybody's gonna like you. And if you're trying to do the right thing, you're gonna step on some people's toes, and you might say some things that people might not agree with. But I've found that whenever you always do the right thing, you never really truly go wrong. Because we're all on different planes of consciousness, and just because somebody disagrees with you, or just because somebody doesn't sees it differently, maybe they're teaching you something, maybe you're teaching them something. And I think the cool thing is like, well, what do you mean by that? Can you share a little bit more? Like if we say, hey, can you tell me more? Like truly learn to understand where people are coming from, because everybody has different experiences. I think, and it's okay to disagree, agree to disagree. You're not going to agree with everybody, but that doesn't mean like they can be right in their own way and you can't be right in your own way. I think there's room for both in some of those times. And sometimes just agreeing that, hey, you know what? We just have different opinions on it. And that's totally okay, because that's where growth comes from.
For sure. I love that. And that falls under the C4 stuff, that consistency piece, to consistently challenge your thoughts and perspectives to the point of vulnerability. And I think when you can get into that space and realize, hey, you know what? There are so many other perspectives out there. And if I can gain insight on what that looks like from somebody else's point of view, well, that's how I continue to grow and evolve and innovate and create change in my life and the lives of others. So very, very cool. Back to just about you, but what would be a great day for you of you get home and you're going to bed and you put your head down on that pillow and it's just like you just hit the game-winning 3 of like, yes, that was just like the best day of my life. What does that look like for Jason?
Oh man, it looks like waking up in the morning with my kids and my family, just kind of having like family time, in the morning. Then maybe I love going to a nice place to eat, restaurants. So maybe a nice lunch with my wife. Maybe it's a glass of wine at a nice restaurant, really wherever. And then, going to an event in the evening, whether it's a sporting event or a concert or, something where you get to be around people, I think is always fun. And having great conversations like this one right now, I think is good. And then again, it's like doing something fun with my boys, whether it's like playing in the gym or whether it's outside playing, throwing my son like some pitches and watching him grow and learn. And so really anything with my family and good people. Because I try to really focus on the feelings, like how do I want to feel today? I want to feel joyful. I want to feel connected. I want to feel happily surprised, excited. And the how kind of tends to take care of itself whenever you focus on how you want to feel, right? I mean, I don't let outside circumstances determine, at least I try not to, what I'm feeling internally. I try to do the opposite, let my internal feelings, express what I'm feeling externally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And it goes back to your hashtag a little bit of act to impact, of you having your mindset determined, hey, I'm seeking joy, I'm seeking connection, I'm seeking time with my family. Okay, what are the actions that I'm going to take today that are going to make an impact on my life and the lives of others to go be able to get this dub at the end of the day, or at the end of the time of playing catch with my kids, or coaching my team, or whatever it is. But having that mindset is huge, and I know that's a big part of what you're doing with your 4D athletes. So let's get into that a little bit, and how that start. And what exactly are you guys doing? I know what it stands for, but have you share it with everybody.
Yeah, sure. It's a coaching mentor of mine came to an idea of like, hey, what if we taught life skills to kids using sports? I was like, okay. He's like, Jason, you're a teacher. You've taught PE. We've coached together. What do you think that would look like? And so I was like, well, I mean, you know, online courses are kind of a big deal now. And kids that are experiencing anxiety, 1 out of 3 adolescents will experience some sort of anxiety disorder. So, what if we are able to teach them confidence? What if we're able to teach them patience, courage, all these things, but do it in a fun way, but also do it in a way that's easily digestible, meaning like 1 to 3 minute videos or 3 to 5 minute videos, something that doesn't take very long either, because a lot of people are quote unquote time bankrupt because they don't manage their time very well. So they feel like they don't have any time. But everybody says, hey, you got 5 minutes. Most people say, hey, they have 5 minutes. So what we've done is we've built out a curriculum, an online training program that goes through week by week different topics that can teach kids 7 to 18. And we emphasize sports because that's kind of our wheelhouse. Life skills that help them win in a game of life. These, like just as you would perfect your jumper to score more points on the scoreboard, we're perfecting these life skills to help them become better, stronger, more resilient, more compassionate human beings, to help them be more successful and happy in whatever they're doing. Because a lot of people are successful, but that doesn't mean they're always happy though either. So redefining what success means to us individually, and also seeking that joy, that happiness that helps us feel like we're living on purpose. That's what is a lot of what we're doing here. And I coached a 7th grade team, Jeff, this year, and I took my kids to the program, and we actually had, you'll appreciate this, we had 4 fourth quarter comebacks. One was we were down by 21.
Wow.
We were down by 13. We were down by 11. And then we were down by 8. And when we were down by 11, we were down by 11 with 4 minutes left. We scored 20 points in 4 minutes. And because I told them, I was like, hey, guys, you just believe in yourselves. You can do this. You can do this. Believe. Like, you just got to, take it get it down to 15. Like that game we were down by 21. I was like, hey, get it down to 15 with 4 minutes left. Okay, get it down to 8 with 2 minutes left. All right, let's get it tied with about 30 seconds left. And they hit boom. We just knocked it like a little bit. And then we made 1 free throw left with 4 seconds left, and we ended up winning. So it was, but what I was like, hey, the bigger thing here is, here's the bigger message. Yeah, we won on the scoreboard, but the bigger key thing is believe in yourself and believe that anything is possible, because you just showed that you could come back from anything.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. I love that. And I don't know why, probably because you brought up Coach K, but one of my favorite basketball moments, I don't know why I'm going blank now. I think they were playing North Carolina or Kentucky, but the Duke with Christian Laettner, when Grant Hill took the ball out of bounds, and I think there was like 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds left, and Coach K called timeout, but you saw the belief in the Duke players, like, hey, we got this. I think most other teams would be like, oh man, what the heck are we going to do? It was like, hey, they already had the belief in their coach that was going to put them in a position to come back and hit a 1 in a million shot. And it was like, nope, boom, this is what we do, because we've trained like you're doing with your athletes and the people that are in your program to learn how to have that belief. And I guess I'll go back to that if you can give some specifics to a listener who's struggling with their self-worth, with their belief in themselves, what is 1 or 2 things that they can do right now as they're listening to this episode to start to be able to take action to impact their life?
Yeah, I actually go through this exercise with people of all ages, and I call it the 4 essential questions. So this is like building a strong personal identification. So it's, you got to ask yourself, who do I want to be? And not like, do I want to be a doctor, or do I want to be a basketball player? Do I want to be, it's who do I want to be internally? Do I want to be confident? Do I want to be joyful? Do I want to live with purpose? Who do I want to be internally? You got to find that out first. Like, what are the 3 to 5 things? Like, if somebody could describe me as this, that's what I would want to be. Because this is working on the inner game, because everything internally is expressed outwardly. So then the second question is, based off of who do I want to be, what do I need to do in order to be that? So this is a building block. So I asked that question, who do I want to be? Now what do I need to do? And let's just say confidence. Okay, if I want to be more confident, what do I need to do? I need to be more prepared. Maybe I need to study a little bit more. Maybe I need to practice a little bit more. Maybe I need to get out of my comfort zone, because that builds confidence. Now, the third question is, what will I have? Okay, I know what I want to be. I know what I need to do in order to be who I want to be. Now, what will I have because of that? Well, I might have more opportunities. I might have more, self-worth. I might feel better about myself. Those are things that I'll have. And then what can I give? Well, if I'm more confident, I know how to train myself to be confident. Maybe I can teach other people confidence. Maybe I can give back maybe I have more opportunities. Maybe I can give other people jobs because I've worked myself up into a confident CEO role or whatever it is. And I can learn to give back in other ways. So the 4 essential questions are, who do I want to be? What do I need to do to be who I want to be? What will I have? And then how will I give back? Because if you don't give back, it's all for yourself. And then you typically, if you only do things for yourself, you tend to not feel like you're living on purpose. But the more we tend to get out of ourselves and we help other people, then we feel more, excited about life. We feel like, we're naturally born to be helpers. And I think the more that we learn to be great givers, we realize, like, oh man, I receive 10 times more than what I give.
Mm-mm. For sure. We're definitely speaking the same language on all of that. And I love those 4 essential questions. I want to get back to one more time because I'm struggling personally. You use the words time bankrupt. And so everything's a quick, little video. And I like how you guys have, I think 24 weeks. So you're kind of giving them these short little snippets. And I know that's the way our brain is evolving. And yeah, I guess I'm just not a fan of it, not of what you guys are doing, but you talk to so many coaches now, high school, college, professional, where they can't really do a drill longer than between 7 to 10 minutes because people aren't able to focus in it and they're just kind of gone. I couldn't imagine. I know you're teaching PE, so you're in a little bit of a different category, but I couldn't imagine being an elementary, junior high, even high school teacher of having to teach a lesson that's I don't want to say impossible because everything's possible, but it's just so difficult. And I feel like we're succumbing, I guess, to letting technology totally dictate the lessons that we're trying to teach. And I forget the words that you used. I'm taking all kind of notes. Yeah, 21st century skills. And those skills were around and needed in the 18th and 19th and 20th. And they'll be there 22nd, 23rd. But when can we take a step back and say, all right, that's not, and this is just where I'm just probably ignorant, and I know people will get fired up, and I'm not against technology, but I just think we need to do more to help people learn how to slow down and rethink and find space to just kind of be able to increase our awareness and ability to be able to focus for longer than 6 seconds, and so I don't know what your thoughts are, and occasionally I bring this up, and it's just a kind of a hot, sore subject for me because, I feel like we're doing youth a disservice sometimes.
Well, I think though too, man, I think if it's fun or if people feel connected to it, focus increases, which is natural, right? So, kids are wired for fun. And I think as coaches, how do we make practice fun? Now, not everything is going to be fun all the time. But you can hide conditioning in certain drills. You can make things competitive. You can make things where kids are locked in. And I think for us, it's like, how do we be more creative to build focus? And I think that's the question to me. Like, how can I be more creative to help kids buy into what I'm doing? And I think it's also relationships too, right? If you build more connection, you're getting more cooperation. Sometimes kids might not want to do what you ask them to do, but it's what have I done ahead of time to nurture a relationship, to have them trust me, hey, I'm doing what's in your best interest. And it's okay not to like something. That's totally fine. But we in order to get what we want, we have to do what we need to do first. And I think that's being upfront with people more. I think that's, explaining more to people, sharing like the why behind what we're doing, because especially coming out of COVID, more and more people are like, hey, well, tell me why I'm doing this. Why is this necessary? They want to know why. Like the era of like, I tell you what to do and then you do it, it's over. I mean, it's done with. And that's a good thing. I think we want kids to question why we're doing things, because when they get older, they become adults. Now, like just because the way things are doesn't mean that's the way they have to be, because we're always evolving. So I think if you make it fun, if you give them a purpose behind it, then I think that's one of the ways you build focus, and you build it incrementally too. Like, hey, let's focus on this drill for 3 minutes. Okay, now tomorrow, let's focus on it for 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Give it something that feels realistic to them, because everybody has to start somewhere. So meet them where they're at and build the focus from there.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with all that. I'm gonna move on from that. But let's get in. You talked about redefining success. How would you define it right now at this point?
I mean, I love John Wooden's quote. He says, like, success is the definition of giving your best in any situation, no matter what it is. And I'm paraphrasing. That's not exactly what it says, but basically, John Wooden's saying, whatever you're doing, just give it your best, and the results will take care of themselves. If you go in, you're prepared, you're focused, you do the best you can with what you know, then you're successful. Like, it's not about like if you win on the scoreboard, if you lose, whatever. But I think that's a much better way to feel successful, knowing that I went out there, whatever it was, I gave the best I could with what I had, and now the result is just feedback. It's like, okay, what did I do not so well? What did I do well? How can I get better? And it's just rinse, wash, repeat. And what you'll find is over time you'll get these incremental gains. But incremental gains every day out of the year, that's 365 times you get a chance to get better. You're going to be in a much better place in a year from now. And could you imagine yourself 3 years from now if you just focus on getting a little bit better every day? You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have things that aren't going to go your way. But what if you see those setbacks as opportunities to help you become who you need to be? Because you got to go through that in order to get to the side to become your best version of yourself, learning and growing. So I think that's the definition of success is, just giving your best and learning from every situation.
So Jason, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this with the fourth quarter comebacks, but even with your boys or with your team, and you've lost 3-4 games in a row, energy's going down a little bit. How hard is it to convince the youth that this actually turned into a positive? We're going to learn from this and get better. How hard is it to get the youth to buy into that?
I think if you relate it to life, I think it helps them buy in more, because like, hey, you know what? Anybody ever had a chance where like, feel like life knocked you down, or you feel like you're going through a slump? Anybody ever had that? And it's like, I know I have, but I always tell them like, hey, think of it like, in the morning, it always gets darkest before dawn starts. So we might be going through a dark place right now, if you will. But if you give it time, everything has a season and the light's going to show up again. The sun guarantees to come up. So I always try to relate it to nature and like, hey, you know what? And I always tell them, hey, you know what? I love this quote. And it came to me like in a prayer and a meditation, but the light shines darkest the light shines brightest in the darkest moments. So if you're in a pitch black and you shine a flashlight, boom, like it takes away the darkness. So how can we be an example of how to, it's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be upset, but how can we flip that switch and turn our flashlight on and think about how we can make this a bright moment? What can we take away? And I think if you learn, like, take it like that approach and say, hey, you know what? You relate to them like, hey, I understand this sucks. Let's just call it like it is. This is not fun. That's okay. But the sun's going to shine again. We're gonna get back out there. We're gonna win some games. We're gonna get through this. It's just a season. And then whenever you reflect on that season, like, hey, if we didn't go through that, we might not be who we are today. So sometimes your toughest moments help prepare you for what's next, either in sports, or in life. So I think that's, you kind of make it relatable, life, nature, things around them. And it helps. I mean, can't guarantee it's going to be 100% effective, but I think it helps them understand that there's a season for everything, and this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. And all the youth that are involved with you at 4D athletes are so fortunate. Just feel the genuineness in what you're sharing. And I do want to get a clarification though, because I know your 4 dimensions that are part of those 4D are mind, body, spirit, and then environment is what I want some clarity on. And is that culture, or what do you guys mean by environment?
Yeah, I mean, and actually, we've shifted a little bit there, because we go, our E now is emotional, but environment though, we do mean like the environment not only you keep at home, but the environment at school, on your team, the environment you keep internally. So, I think there's a great quote that says, "You become like the 5 people you spend the most time with." So choosing in your family, right, or your family, like you're typically, you can't choose your family, but you can choose the people you hang out with at school. You can choose the teammates you hang out with. You can choose some of these things that you surround yourself with, because we tend to become like who we hang around. And if you hang around with people that seem to have some things figured out, that life seems to be going their way, you start to learn a little bit. Oh, okay, what do they do different? Oh, what are they like? How do they speak? How do they act? How do they treat other people? How do they manage their own money? How do they manage their families? Oh, okay, I want to be more like that. Because I think all of us are wired to want to have, the best life possible, but sometimes we just get caught up in, the wrong crowd, or we feel like an obligation to hang around with the people because we were best friends with them, in high school. It's okay to outgrow people. It's okay to find new circles, of new social circles, especially if you're looking to become something, your best version of yourself. You will outgrow people, and that can be tough at first, but again, nobody's living your life but yourself. So at the end of the day, you're responsible for your own happiness and success. So, not saying you just completely dismiss people, but it's more of a gradual, like, hey, I just tend to gravitate towards certain different people, and that's totally okay. So I think that's what a lot of you struggle with, is like, they want to be the best version of themselves, but they feel obligated because I've been friends with them since we were 14, but they're not a good influence on me, that I feel like I have to stay friends with these people or whatever it is. And it's like, you don't have to. And
Yeah.
you can do it in a way that's tactful, that's kind. You don't have to be blunt about it, but you just end up like spending less time with them, whether getting more involved in extracurriculars, getting more involved in other things that make you feel joyful, and be okay with going a different direction.
Yeah. And that's, man, so powerful if you can help the youth make that connection and then give them the 21st century skills, as you say, to be able to have those conversations and be able to make those decisions. Because definitely I'm a little bit older than a teenager now, getting all gray. And I wish I would have been in this space before. And I've always surrounded myself with great people that I've wanted to spend time with. But I'm so much more aware now as I get older that my time is limited, and I'm crazy. What's the word? Just evaluate where I'm going to spend my time. And if I'm not feeling like we're lining up and it's not going to be something that's going to help me grow or help me bring value to other people, and I don't know how this sounds, but I'm going to be very polite, but I'm just not going to make time for that because I just can't do it. And I think if you look through, everybody's life of how much time do we waste with things that we don't really want to do because we've never really taken the action or develop the knowledge to be able to have those conversations and value ourselves and to value our own time. And so I just love how you guys are empowering your youth that you're working with to be able to have those conversations and those skills. And that just leads to so many other growth opportunities. I do want to just total random question, but I know you're a student of the game of life. What books would you recommend right now, or which ones are you reading for maybe someone in youth, and then if you can, an adult, that just some books that you recommend?
Well, there's a book by my friend Steve Yurchich. He's he wrote a book called Swing Away Stand. It's a book for like 8 to 10-year-olds that talks about this kid playing baseball, and he strikes out, or it's a great story of resilience, how you use sports to be resilient. And I believe it's Pizza Day, right? Your guys' book.
Yeah,
Pizza
we rise
Day. I would
together.
highly recommend that one. We rise together, for our youth. I mean, I think that's a great read. My nephew is loving it right now. He's 8 years old. So, I mean, but I also think there's for adults, like I'm reading a book right now called Leading Without Authority. Like, what does leadership look like now? What does it mean to lead? Like, anybody can be a leader. You don't have to have a title to start leading. So I think it's for adults, it's that one. The Art of Living by Bob Proctor is another great one. And that's the cool thing too now is with technology, you can have mentors that you never met because of YouTube, because of all these different online resources. I mean, you can just look up some of the most quote unquote people that are having success, personal development, professionals, and Tony Robbins could technically be your mentor even though you never met him. Bob Proctor, he's passed away. He could still be your mentor because of all the stuff, all the knowledge that they've been able to share now. So I think those are the couple of books I'm reading right now that I think that are really great, that help you understand, like, find purpose in life, find joy in life first, then the how will take care of itself. Like Simon says, find your why, the how and the what will then fall in place.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Great suggestions. And I love throwing out We Rise Together, the Pizza Day series, the book one. I don't do a good enough job of trying to get the word out on that, but anybody that's just interested in a good book, check out pizzadays.org for that one. Hey, we're at this point though in the show, we always end it with a legacy question, and not to get too morbid with you, but the quote is this from John Alston: the only thing you take with you when you're gone is what you leave behind. And so let's fast forward for you, 60 years. You've lived an incredible life. You are on your deathbed. You're surrounded by your two boys who are now older men. They've had their family. Who knows how many grandkids you have, all the youth that you've helped. What is it that you want them to take away from their time with you that you're going to leave behind?
Stay present, right? Just and love life, love the people around you to the best you can, and let the materialistic things take care of itself. Like, be at a place where you can have everything but need nothing at the same time, because you have joy, you have love. All the material stuff can come and go, but your personal identity stays the same. I think is key. And my ultimate life mission is for suicide, anxiety, depression to be a non-issue. If I look back and I was able to be a part of solving that issue for tomorrow's child, then I would say well done, good and faithful servant at that time. So this is my life's work. I will never quote unquote do the societal retirement, because I feel like I can always be doing something to be a part of the solution to help kids and people feel good, think more positively, build self-worth, build purpose, build their why, because it's an ever-evolving thing. What I might prioritize 10 years from now might be different than today. So I think that's something you can never retire from.
I love it. And we need you to continue doing that work. Again, we've been with Jason Holzer from Kansas City, Missouri. You can find him on Instagram at jholzer, Twitter at coach_Holzer, 4dathletes.com. Again, he has his own podcast, the 4D Athletes. And then definitely make sure to look at his book, Shattered by Suicide, Renewed by Resilience. You can find that on Amazon. Pashalito, get us out of here, baby. You've been so quiet, looking pretty over there. He is the eye candy of the show. For anybody that's going to tune in, make sure you check out YouTube. He is repping the C4 shirt today, and man, he looks good.
Yeah, that's a joke. Eye candy, Jason. It's okay to laugh a little louder. But hey, man, thanks. I appreciate you being on the show. And man, thanks for all the great work you're doing. And if we can get everyone to just help a little bit, you're helping a lot. But if we get everyone to help a little bit, we can solve a lot of problems. So thank you. Keep it up. Appreciate it. And thank you for the way you related sports to life. We always talk about that, but you made it seem seamless when you explained it all. So thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Jason, any last words you want to share?
You know what? If you're going through a tough time right now, just give life a chance to get better, right? And so that's what I would just say, like, hey, hang in there. It will get better. If you're going through a tough space right now, just, find some support, talk to people close to you, and believe that eventually life will get better.
I love that, and definitely if you are in a difficult time, NAMI North. Let me find. I wrote it down. I should know that. That's kind of National Alliance on Mental Illness, but NAMI. Just Google NAMI, and it's a great resource on so many mental illness challenges that we're all facing. So please reach out for help from NAMI. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been another incredible episode. Jason, we can't thank you enough. Pashalito, always good to see you. And how we do it here, Jason, boom, baby, we're out.